The sequel begins immediately after the events of the first film. Kora, Gunnar, General Titus, Nemesis, Tarak, and Milius have returned to Veldt after defeating Admiral Atticus Noble, or so they think. The robot, Jimmy, has been wandering the moon, experiencing all the beauty it has to offer as he grapples with what he has become after defying his programming and slaying the Imperium officers in Part 1. Thanks to the Imperium turncoat Aris, the team discovers that Admiral Noble and his ship the King's Gaze will return to Veldt in 5 days, placing the villagers and their grain back in the crosshairs of the Imperium despite Noble's supposed demise. How did Admiral Atticus Noble come back to life? Following his confrontation with Kora and the other revolutionaries in Part 1, Noble seemingly falls to his death. But his story isn't over. The Imperium soldiers take his barely alive body to one of their cryo chambers, which not only treat his injuries, but also make him stronger. As miraculous as the healing chambers are, they can't heal every wound. Noble retains a scar on his chest, a potent reminder of his fight with Kora that he wears with pride. Noble swears he will have his revenge on the Scargiver, a nickname given to Kora that feels more and more apt. Why did the Imperium elite assassinate the royal family? For generations, the Imperium expanded across the galaxy, using its strength and powerful technology to colonize dozens of worlds. But as Princess Issa's supernatural healing abilities grew, she inspired Motherworld's king to make the Imperium more peaceful and benevolent. The king and royal family arrived to christen the final dreadnought, declaring it a ship of peace. But the elites, comfortable with the status quo, conspired to assassinate them and install the ruthless regent Belisarius to continue the Imperium's unrelenting expansion. Belisarius, who is also Kora's adoptive father, makes her complicit in the assassinations, forcing her to kill the young princess she had sworn to protect. Before taking the fatal shot, Kora is shocked when Issa forgives her. With the king dead, Belisarius and his co-conspirators in the Senate take control of the Imperium and pin the murders on Kora. What's the song General Titus sings? One of many emotional moments leading up to the final battle for Veldt is a small scene in which General Titus sings a song meant to empower the village warriors by venerating our gods, our ancestors, through remembrance and celebration of them. The song was written by guitarist and vocalist Lionel Lowick in a hybrid of African languages spoken in Benin. The lyrics convey the act of conjuring strength at the feet of evil, Hounsou told Netflix. It gives us hope and provides faith in ourselves, so that we may confront the forces of evil. And yes, that's really him singing. What was Kora's plan to protect the village and defeat Admiral Noble? Protecting the village against an enemy with superior numbers and technology isn't easy, and Snyder wanted the battle scenes to feel authentic. For me, it was all about figuring out the logistics. How are they going to take on the dreadnought? How are they going to defend this village? Snyder told Netflix. Before the fight begins, Noble offers Kora a chance to spare the villagers in exchange for her and the grain. Deciding her life isn't worth more than the rest, Kora gestures to her team that she will not allow anyone to die for her. Seconds before she turns herself over to the Imperium and certain death, Gunnar steals her pistol and uses it to signal the start of the revolt. The villagers attack the Imperium soldiers, fulfilling their vow to protect their homes, no matter the odds. As the battle begins, Kora and Gunnar run for the dropship that has been disguised as a casualty of battle and use it to infiltrate the King's Gaze. Once aboard, Kora and Gunnar plant several explosives on the ship's core that will ground it for good. General Titus leads the villagers against the Imperium forces, using spider holes dug by the production team, in which they hide before springing up to surprise the invading soldiers. As the battle rages in the village below, Kora and Gunnar cut through the soldiers on the dreadnought after planting the explosives in the core. In their epic final face-off, Admiral Noble confronts Kora and Gunnar, and they engage in a pitched hand-to-hand battle while the King's Gaze falls from the sky, disabled by the bombs. Kora makes good on her promise to Noble, killing the Admiral and making the King's Gaze's tomb. What's the deal with Jimmy the robot? Is he a good guy? Jimmies were built centuries ago and were intended to guard and protect the royal family and their bloodline. But following the royal family's assassination, they laid down their arms and refused to fight. The Imperium repurposed some of them for manual labor and grunt work. We first meet Jimmy in Part 1 as he assists the Imperium with unloading their dropship. Not exactly a challenge for a robot that can fire a rifle and hit a target 1,000 yards away. When a young villager's life is in danger, Jimmy acts and, for the first time, discovers he can reach beyond his programming. That brings him into the fight to defend the village, where he tips the balance of the battle for Veldt, destroying an assault tank and saving the lives of those fighting the Imperium. What happened to the Bloodaxes and their rebellion? Did you think we'd seen the last of the Bloodaxes? The fierce group of intergalactic insurgents, led by Devra Bloodaxe, triumphantly returns to save the day, destroying the last remaining Imperium dropships and crushing their advance once and for all. Still, there's always room for another twist. After our heroes triumph over Noble and destroy his ship, we learn a shocking truth. Princess Issa, believed to have been killed by Kora, is still alive. Is Princess Issa really dead? Princess Issa was more than just a member of Motherworld's royal family. She was also known as the Chalice, the Redeemer, and the Lifesaver, and she was believed to have the supernatural power to restore life, which may include her own. In an intimate confession to Gunnar, Kora reveals the dark secret she kept while hiding on Veldt the past few years. She shot the princess at the urging of her adoptive father, Belisarius, and that guilt inspired her to see Veldt's rebellion to the end. Once the dust settles and the dead have been honored, General Titus reveals he was aware of Kora's secret and has one of his own. The princess is still alive thanks to her burgeoning powers. Inspired by the news, the team vows to find Princess Issa and restore her to the throne.